The arrival. The sleek, silver spacecraft glided into the docking bay of the Galactic Survival Academy with practiced ease. As the airlock hissed open, 3 humans stepped out, blinking in the harsh artificial light of the station. They were an unlikely trio. Sarah Chen, a wiry ex-military strategist with a no-nonsense attitude. Malik Okonkwo, a towering biologist with a penchant for terrible puns. And Zoe Harper, a compact engineer whose mind worked faster than her mouth could keep up. The reception committee consisted of various alien species, each more bizarre than the last. At the forefront stood Administrator Xylox, a being that resembled nothing so much as a sentient, shimmering crystal. Its multifaceted body refracted the light in dazzling patterns as it spoke, a melodious tone emanating from somewhere within its structure. Welcome, Earthlings, to the Galactic Survival Academy. We are surprised by your presence here. Sarah stepped forward, her military bearing evident in her precise movements. Thank you for having us, Administrator. We're honored to be the first humans to participate in this prestigious program. A ripple of what might have been laughter, or perhaps derision, passed through the assembled aliens. Xylox's crystalline body flickered in what the humans assumed was amusement. Honored, perhaps, but are you prepared? This is not a program for the faint of heart or the fragile of body. Many species far more advanced than yours have failed. Malik grinned, his white teeth a stark contrast against his dark skin. With all due respect, Administrator, we humans have a saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. We're here to learn and grow. Zoe nodded enthusiastically, her hands already twitching as if itching to take apart and reassemble every piece of alien tech in sight. Plus, we're pretty good at adapting. It's kind of our thing. Xylox's body pulsed with an unreadable emotion. Very well. Let us proceed with the orientation. Follow me. As they walked through the station's winding corridors, the humans gaped at the sheer alienness of their surroundings. Gravity seemed to shift subtly from one section to another, and the walls themselves appeared to be alive, pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. They passed by other students, a group of octopus-like beings floating in personal bubbles of water, a cluster of what appeared to be sentient gas clouds, and even a solitary creature that seemed to phase in and out of reality. This course, Xylox explained, is designed to push the limits of survival in extreme conditions. You will face environments that your primitive planet could never have prepared you for. Heat that would melt your bones, cold that would freeze your very atoms, pressures that would crush you to singularities, and vacuums that would boil your blood. Sarah raised an eyebrow. Sounds like a typical Tuesday back home. Xylox's crystalline form vibrated in what might have been a sigh. Your species' penchant for hyperbole is noted. However, I assure you, this is beyond anything you have experienced. They arrived at a large, circular chamber. The walls were lined with what appeared to be stasis pods, each big enough to hold a being of considerable size. These are the simulators, Xylox explained. They will subject your minds and bodies to various extreme environments. Your task is simple. Survive. Zoe's eyes lit up with excitement. Oh, like virtual reality. We have something similar back on Earth, though I bet this is way more advanced. Virtual. Xylox seemed confused. No, these create real conditions. The danger is very much actual. The humans exchanged glances, a mix of excitement and apprehension on their faces. Your first test begins in 1 hour, Xylox announced. I suggest you use this time to prepare yourselves mentally. Physical preparation is largely irrelevant. As Xylox glided away, the 3 humans huddled together. Well, Malik said, his usual grin slightly strained. This should be interesting. Sarah nodded, her military training kicking in as she assessed their situation. Remember our briefing. We're not just here to survive. We're here to show what humanity is capable of. Whatever they throw at us, we face it head-on. Zoe was practically bouncing with nervous energy. Do you think they'll let me take a look at these pods after we're done? The tech must be incredible. Their conversation was interrupted by the approach of another alien, this one resembling a cross between a praying mantis and a redwood tree. It towered over them, its wooden limbs creaking as it moved. "Greetings, humans," it said, its voice a low, rumbling sound like wind through leaves. "I am Arbora, last survivor of the Chloros Collective. I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. You seem unusually eager for newcomers." Sarah stepped forward, extending a hand before realizing the gesture might not translate. She smoothly transitioned into a respectful nod. "We're eager to learn, Arbora. Humanity has always pushed its boundaries. This is just the next frontier for us." Arbora's branch-like antennae twitched, a commendable attitude. "But I feel I must warn you. This course has broken beings far hardier than yourselves. The galactic community has long debated whether to even allow Deathworld species like yourselves to participate." Malik's brow furrowed. "Deathworld? Is that how you classify Earth?" "Indeed." Arbora creaked. "Your planet's extreme variations in climate, high number of natural disasters, and the sheer variety of potentially lethal flora and fauna make it a death world by our standards. Most spacefaring races evolve on far more stable, benign worlds." The humans exchanged surprised looks. Their harsh, beautiful home planet, a death world. The idea seemed almost laughable. Zoe couldn't contain a snort of laughter. "Wait till they hear about Australia." Arbora's wooden features somehow managed to convey confusion. "I'm not familiar with this Australia. Is it a particularly deadly region of your world?" "You could say that," Malik chuckled. "Let's just say it's where a lot of our deadliest creatures decided to have a party." Sarah shot her companions a warning look before turning back to Arbora. "What we mean to say is, we appreciate your concern, but we're prepared for whatever challenges lie ahead. Humanity has faced extinction-level events multiple times in our history. We're still here." Arbora's leaves rustled in what might have been approval. "Your confidence is admirable, if perhaps misplaced. I look forward to observing your performance." With a creaking bow, the tree-like being moved away. As the hour drew to a close, the humans found themselves standing before 3 open stasis pods. The interior glowed with an eerie, pulsating light. Xylox reappeared, its crystalline body now a deep, serious blue. "Your first test is about to begin. You will face an environment that has caused even the hardiest of species to fail. Remember, what you experience will be real. The danger is real. Are you prepared?" Sarah squared her shoulders, her face set in determination. "We're ready." Malik cracked his knuckles, his usual grin replaced by a look of focus. "Let's do this." Zoe took a deep breath, her mind already racing with possibilities. "Bring it on." As one, the 3 humans stepped into their pods. The last thing they saw before the lids closed was Hylox's body flickering with an emotion that looked almost like pity. The pods hummed to life, and suddenly, the humans found themselves in a world beyond their wildest imaginations. The test had begun, and with it, humanity's chance to prove itself on the galactic stage. Little did the Galactic Survival Academy know, they had just welcomed their most surprising, adaptable, and resilient students yet. The Deathworlders were about to show the galaxy what they were made of. First challenge: adapting to extreme environments. The world materialized around Sarah, Malik, and Zoe in a dizzying blur of colors and sensations. As their vision cleared, they found themselves standing on what appeared to be a vast, purple plain stretching as far as the eye could see. The sky above was a sickly green, roiling with clouds that pulsed with inner lightning. Sarah immediately dropped into a defensive stance, her military training kicking in. "Status report," she barked, eyes scanning the alien landscape. Malik, his biologist's mind already racing, knelt to examine the ground. The soil, if you can call it that, seems to be some kind of crystal, highly refractive. He picked up a shard, wincing as it cut easily through his skin. And sharp, very sharp. Zoe, meanwhile, was fiddling with a device on her wrist. According to my readings, the atmosphere is mostly chlorine. Gravity is about 3G, and oh boy, the radiation levels are off the charts. As if on cue, their skin began to tingle uncomfortably. The air felt thick and oppressive, making each breath a laborious task. "Right," Sarah said, her voice strained but determined. "First order of business. Shelter. We need to protect ourselves from this atmosphere and radiation." No sooner had she spoken than the ground beneath them began to tremble. In the distance, a massive crystalline structure erupted from the plain, jagged spires reaching towards the roiling sky. "Well," Malik grinned, "despite the situation, ask and you shall receive, I guess." The three humans began making their way towards the structure, each step a monumental effort against the increased gravity. The crystalline ground crunched beneath their feet, tiny shards flying up to cut at their legs. "You know," Zoe panted, her compact frame struggling against the oppressive gravity, "I'm starting to think that Administrator Xylox wasn't exaggerating about the whole extreme conditions thing." Sarah, her face a mask of concentration, nodded grimly. "Stay focused. We've trained for high-G environments. Remember your breathing exercises." As they neared the crystalline structure, a horrifying sight greeted them. Impaled on one of the lower spires was the desiccated corpse of an alien being. Its 6 limbs were splayed out at unnatural angles, and its exoskeleton had been cracked open by the merciless crystal. Malik swallowed hard. "I guess we know what happened to at least one of our predecessors." Sarah's eyes narrowed. "And we know what'll happen to us if we're not careful. Keep moving." They reached the base of the structure, its towering spires now blocking out much of the sickly green sky. Up close, they could see that the crystal was not uniform, but full of hollows and crevices. "Look," Zoe pointed, her engineer's eye spotting an opportunity. "There's an opening there, about 20 feet up. If we can reach it, it might provide some shelter." Sarah nodded. "Good eye, Zoe. Malik, give me a boost. I'll secure a position and then help you two up." With considerable effort, they'd managed to form a human ladder. Sarah, muscles straining against the increased gravity, pulled herself into the opening. It was a tight fit, but it opened into a larger cavity within the crystal. "It's clear," she called down. "And the crystal seems to be blocking some of the radiation. Come on up." One by one, they clambered into the crystalline shelter. As soon as they were all inside, they collapsed, chests heaving as they fought to breathe the chlorine-heavy air. "Okay," Malik gasped. "Step 1 accomplished. We have shelter. Now what?" Sarah was already examining their surroundings. "Now we figure out how to survive long-term. Zoe, what are our most immediate threats?" Zoe consulted her wrist device again. "Radiation is still a concern, but the crystal is providing some shielding. The bigger issues are the chlorine atmosphere and the lack of water and food." "All right," Sarah nodded. "Malik, you're our biology expert. Any ideas on how we can filter this air?" Malik's brow furrowed in concentration. "Well, back on Earth, certain types of algae can survive in chlorine-heavy environments. They use the chlorine in photosynthesis, producing oxygen as a byproduct. If we could find or create something similar." "Create?" Zoe perked up. "I might be able to help with that. My nanotech kit survived the transition. If you can describe the cellular structure, I might be able to synthesize something." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. This was what humans did best. Adapt, improvise, overcome. "Good. You two work on that. I'll see if I can find a way to collect and purify water. There must be some source of liquid in this environment." As Sarah ventured deeper into the crystal structure, Malik and Zoe huddled together, combining their expertise to create a life-saving alga. Hours passed. The green sky outside darkened to a deep, menacing black. Strange, discordant howls echoed across the crystalline plain, sending shivers down the human spines. Sarah returned, her clothes torn and bloody from the sharp crystal, but her eyes shining with triumph. In her hands, she held a small pool of glistening liquid. I found a reservoir deeper in the structure. It's not water as we know it, more like liquid crystal, but I think we can purify it. Zoe looked up from her work, her face streaked with sweat but grinning. Perfect timing. Malik and I have just finished synthesizing our chlorine-eating algae. If we introduce it to the liquid, we might be able to create a sustainable source of oxygen and water. Malik finished, his excitement palpable despite his exhaustion. They quickly set up their makeshift life support system, watching with bated breath as the synthesized algae was introduced to the liquid crystal. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly but surely, bubbles of oxygen began to form. "It's working," Zoe exclaimed, her voice hoarse but jubilant. Sarah allowed herself a moment of relief before refocusing. "Good work, both of you. But we're not out of the woods yet. We still need to find a food source and figure out how to shield ourselves better from the radiation." Malik nodded, already thinking ahead. The algae might be edible, given time to proliferate. As for radiation shielding, he glanced at the crystal walls surrounding them. "I have an idea, but you're not going to like it." Before he could elaborate, a bone-shaking roar echoed through their shelter. The humans froze, eyes wide. "What was that?" Zoe whispered, her earlier excitement replaced by fear. Sarah's hand instinctively went to her hip, reaching for a weapon that wasn't there. "I don't know, but I have a feeling we're about to find out." The roar came again, closer this time. The crystal beneath their feet began to vibrate. Malik's face was grim. "I think we just discovered this planet's apex predator." Sarah's mind raced, assessing their options. They were trapped in a crystal cave on an alien world, with limited resources and an unknown threat approaching. But as she looked at her companions, Zoe already fiddling with her nanotech kit, and Malik, his eyes darting around for anything they could use as a weapon, she felt a surge of determination. This was what humans did. They faced the impossible, and they survived. "All right, team," Sarah said, her voice steady and commanding. "Whatever's coming, we face it together. Zoe, see if you can rig up some kind of early warning system. Malik, we need weapons. Anything you can fashion from this crystal will do. I'll try to secure our position." As they sprang into action, Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. The Galactic Survival Academy had no idea what they'd signed up for when they admitted humans to their program. Whatever this world threw at them, they would adapt. They would survive, and they would show the galaxy exactly what Deathworlders were capable of. The roar came again, shaking crystal shards from the ceiling. The humans exchanged determined looks. The real test was just beginning. Unexpected allies, forming bonds in adversity. The crystalline cavern shook with another earth-shattering roar, closer now than ever before. Sarah, Malik, and Zoe huddled near their makeshift algae farm, crude crystal weapons clutched in their hands. "Zoe, status on that early warning system," Sarah whispered, her eyes never leaving the cavern entrance. Zoe fiddled with a contraption of crystal shards and repurposed nanotech. "It's rudimentary, but it should give us a few seconds' notice if anything large approaches." Malik gripped his jagged crystal spear tighter. "Let's hope a few seconds is enough." As if on cue, Zoe's device began to emit a high-pitched whine. The humans tensed, ready for battle. But what burst into their shelter wasn't the terrifying predator they'd imagined. Instead, a being that looked like a cross between a jellyfish and a sunflower tumbled in, its translucent tentacles flailing wildly. Close behind it came a creature that could only be described as a walking mountain of crystals. "What the?" Sarah began, but was cut off as the jellyfish sunflower creature spoke, its voice a melodious hum. "Please, help. It's right behind us." The crystal mountain rumbled in agreement, its facets flashing in what seemed to be distress. Before the humans could react, a massive serpentine head pushed through the cavern entrance. Its eyes were swirling vortexes of green energy, and its body seemed to phase in and out of reality. "Oh, shit," Malik eloquently summarized. The creature roared, the sound vibrating the very atoms of the air around them. The jellyfish sunflower being cowered, while the crystal mountain tried to make itself as small as possible, which, given its size, wasn't very small at all. Sarah's mind raced. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and facing a creature that defied the laws of physics. But they were also humans, and if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was turning impossible situations to their advantage. "Zoe," she shouted over the din, "can you recalibrate your nanotech to emit a high-frequency pulse?" Zoe's eyes lit up with understanding. "On it. Malik, we need to distract it. Aim for the eyes." As Malik and Sarah launched a barrage of crystal shards at the creature's swirling eyes, Zoe worked feverishly on her device. The jellyfish sunflower being, seeing their bravery, extended a tentacle to help, its appendage surprisingly dexterous. The serpentine monster reeled back, momentarily confused by the assault, but it quickly recovered, lunging forward with jaws that could swallow a car. "Now, Zoe," Sarah yelled. Zoe activated her device, and a piercing shriek filled the air. The humans clutched their ears in pain, but the effect on the monster was dramatic. It writhed in agony, its form flickering rapidly before it retreated, disappearing back into the alien landscape. As the echoes of the shriek faded, an eerie silence fell over the cavern. The humans and their unexpected alien companions stared at each other, chests heaving. Finally, the jellyfish sunflower being spoke. That was incredible. How did you know to do that?" Sarah shrugged, trying to appear nonchalant despite her racing heart. "We didn't, but on our world high-frequency sounds often disrupt creatures that rely on echolocation. We took a guess." The crystal mountain rumbled, its facets flashing in what seemed to be an approximation of speech. The jellyfish sunflower translated. "Brykes here says he's never seen anyone stand up to a phase viper before. You three must be formidable warriors on your world." Malik chuckled, wincing as the movement aggravated his injuries. "Hardly. I'm a biologist, Zoe's an engineer, and Sarah, well, okay, Sarah might qualify as a warrior." The alien beings seemed shocked. The jellyfish sunflower's tentacles waved in what might have been disbelief. But you fought with such coordination, such fearlessness." Zoe grinned, her earlier fear replaced by a sort of giddy relief. "That's just how we roll on Earth. When the going gets tough, humans get creative." As the adrenaline of the fight wore off, the reality of their situation set in. They were still trapped on an alien world, low on resources, and now with 2 more mouths to feed. But as Sarah looked at their new companions, an idea began to form. "I'm Sarah," she said, extending a hand to the jellyfish sunflower being. "This is Malik and Zoe. We're humans from Earth, and I think we might all have a better chance of surviving if we work together." The jellyfish sunflower extended a tentacle, wrapping it gently around Sarah's hand in an alien handshake. "I am Lumina of the Photosynthians, and I believe you may be right." Brykes the crystal mountain rumbled again, and Lumina translated. "Brykes agrees. He says his people have extensive knowledge of crystal formations that might help us navigate this world." And so an unlikely alliance was formed. As they settled in to share knowledge and resources, the humans found themselves marveling at the turn of events. They had come to this academy to prove themselves, to show that humanity could stand alongside the most advanced species in the galaxy. But perhaps the most human trait of all was not their ability to survive, but their ability to bring others together, to form bonds in the face of adversity. Over the next few days, their little group fell into a rhythm. Malik worked with Lumina, combining their biological knowledge to improve their algae farm and develop new sources of sustenance. Zoe and Brykes put their heads, or in Brykes' case, his uppermost facets, together to create better tools and defenses. Sarah took charge of organizing exploration parties, mapping out their crystalline world, and keeping watch for more phase vipers. As they worked, they shared stories of their home worlds. The humans were fascinated to learn about Lumina's planet, where beings photosynthesize thoughts, and communication happens through intricate light patterns. Brex's world, it turned out, was not too dissimilar from their current environment, which explained his comfort with the crystalline landscape. In turn, Sarah, Malik, and Zoe told tales of Earth. They spoke of vast oceans and towering mountains, of bustling cities and serene forests. They described the myriad cultures and languages of their world, the art and music and food that made life vibrant. "Your world sounds chaotic," Lumina said one day, her tentacles waving in a pattern that the humans had learned to recognize as contemplative. "How do you survive with so much variety, so much potential for conflict?" Malik smiled. "That's the beauty of it, Lumina. We don't just survive, we thrive on that chaos. It's what drives us to innovate, to explore, to become better." Zoe nodded enthusiastically. "Earth's history is full of conflicts, sure. But it's also full of moments where people came together, overcame their differences, and achieved incredible things. Like now," Sarah added, gesturing to their diverse group. "Different species from across the galaxy, working together to survive. That's what humanity is all about." Brex rumbled, his crystals flashing in a pattern they'd come to recognize as agreement. Lumina translated. "Brex says he's beginning to understand why the Galactic Academy was so interested in your species. You bring a unique perspective." As the days wore on, their shelter expanded and improved. Zoe and Brex had managed to create a more effective radiation shield, while Malik and Lumina's efforts had resulted in a diverse garden of alien plants, each with unique properties that helped them survive in this harsh environment. But they all knew this was just the beginning. The Galactic Survival Academy wouldn't be satisfied with mere survival. They would be expected to thrive, to demonstrate mastery over this alien world. As if reading their thoughts, Lumina spoke up one evening as they gathered around the soft glow of a bioluminescent fungus they'd cultivated. "I've been thinking, perhaps it's time we ventured beyond our shelter. This world has much to offer, if we're brave enough to explore it." Sarah nodded, a glint of excitement in her eyes. "I agree. We've established a safe base. Now it's time to push our boundaries." Zoe was already fiddling with a new gadget she'd cobbled together. "I think I can rig up some portable shelters. They won't be as comfortable as this, but they should protect us from the worst of the environment." Malik grinned. "And who knows what kind of fascinating life forms we might discover out there. This could be a xenobiologist's dream." As they began to plan their expedition, a sense of anticipation filled the air. They had faced death and emerged stronger. They had formed bonds that crossed the boundaries of species and planets, and now they were about to embark on a journey into the unknown. But as Sarah looked around at her companions, human and alien alike, she felt a surge of confidence. Whatever challenges this world had in store for them, they would face them together. And in doing so, they would show the galaxy the true strength of humanity, not just their ability to survive, but their power to unite, to inspire, and to turn adversity into opportunity. The next phase of their adventure was about to begin, and the Deathworlders were ready to show the Galactic Survival Academy what they were truly capable of. The roiling green sky, and navigated labyrinthine caverns that pulsed with eerie bioluminescence. Their portable shelters, ingeniously designed by Zoe and Brex, had proven invaluable. The bubble-like structures, reinforced with a lattice of living crystal cultivated from Brex's own body, provided protection from the harsh radiation and corrosive atmosphere. Malik and Lumina's bioengineered plants thrived in these miniature ecosystems, providing food, oxygen, and even rudimentary medical supplies. As they crested yet another crystalline ridge, a collective gasp rose from the group. Before them stretched a vast basin, at the center of which stood a structure that defied belief. It was a perfect sphere, easily the size of a small moon, hovering a few feet above the ground. Its surface was a swirling mass of colors and patterns that hurt the eyes to look at directly. "What? What is that?" Zoe whispered, her voice filled with equal parts awe and trepidation. Luminous tentacles waved in a pattern of extreme agitation. "I've heard legends of such things. The ancients called them nexus points, gateways between realities." Brex rumbled, his crystalline body vibrating with what seemed to be excitement. Lumina translated. "Brex says his people believe these are the ultimate test of any spacefaring race. To interface with a nexus point is to touch the very fabric of the universe." Sarah's eyes narrowed as she surveyed the surrounding area. "Look there." She pointed to a series of metallic structures arranged in a circle around the sphere. "Those aren't natural. I think this might be the final test of the Galactic Survival Academy." As if in response to her words, the sphere pulsed with energy. A beam of light shot out, sweeping over each of them in turn. When it reached the humans, it lingered longer, as if puzzled by their presence. Suddenly, a voice boomed across the basin, seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Candidate is DTCTED. Final trial come in and sing. Interface with DHENEXUS to complete your evaluation." The group exchanged nervous glances. This was it, the culmination of all their struggles, the ultimate test of their abilities. "Any ideas on how we're supposed to interface with that thing?" Malik asked, his usual humor tempered by the gravity of the situation. Before anyone could respond, the ground beneath their feet began to shake violently. Cracks appeared in the crystalline surface, spreading rapidly towards the nexus point. From these fissures emerged creatures of nightmare. Phase vipers, crystal golems, and beings of pure energy, all converging on their position. "It's a gauntlet," Sarah realized, her military training kicking into high gear. "We have to reach the nexus while fighting off these creatures." Zoe was already pulling components from her pack, assembling them with lightning speed. "I can rig up some defenses, but they won't last long against this onslaught." Lumina extended her tentacles, light pulsing through them in complex patterns. "I can attempt to communicate with the energy beings, perhaps convince them to aid us instead of attack." Brex rumbled his agreement, his crystalline form glittering with an inner light that hadn't been there before. Sarah looked at each of her companions in turn, a smile slowly spreading across her face. "We did it. Whatever it was, we faced it together, and we came out the other side." As if in response to her words, the air around them shimmered, and the familiar form of Administrator Xylox materialized before them. "Congratulations, candidates." Xylox's crystalline body pulsed with what seemed to be a mix of amazement and pride. "You have not only survived the final trial, but you have excelled beyond our wildest expectations. Your ability to adapt, to cooperate across species boundaries, and to face the unknown with courage and ingenuity. It is truly remarkable." The administrator's gaze lingered on the humans. "And you, representatives of Earth, you have proven that your species, despite its relative youth in galactic terms, has much to offer the greater community. Your death world has forged in you a resilience and creativity that will serve you well in the challenges that lie ahead." As Tylox spoke, the world around them began to fade, the harsh crystalline landscape giving way to the familiar surroundings of the Galactic Survival Academy. "Rest now," Xylox said, its voice fading along with the simulated world. "You have earned it. And know that when you awake, you will be welcomed not as students, but as full members of the galactic community." As the last vestiges of the alien world disappeared, Sarah felt a profound sense of accomplishment wash over her. They had come to prove themselves, to show that humanity belonged among the stars. But they had achieved so much more. They had formed bonds that transcended species, faced challenges that defied imagination, and touched the very essence of the universe itself. Whatever the future held, whatever challenges awaited them in the vast expanse of the galaxy, Sarah knew one thing for certain: humanity was ready. Not because they were the strongest, or the smartest, or the most advanced, but because they had the one quality that truly mattered in the face of the unknown: the ability to adapt, to learn, to bring out the best in themselves and those around them. As consciousness began to fade, Sarah's last thought was of Earth, of home. They had done it. They had shown the galaxy what humans were truly capable of. And this, she knew, was just the beginning of humanity's great adventure among the stars. Aid to the soft, ambient light of the recovery chamber, she saw Malik and Zoe stirring in nearby pods. Across the room, luminous tentacles were beginning to wave gently, while Brex's crystalline form shimmered as he regained consciousness. "Welcome back, graduates," came the melodious voice of Administrator Xylox. The crystalline being glided into view, its facets pulsing with what Sarah had come to recognize as pride and excitement. "You have all performed admirably, beyond our wildest expectations." As the team fully regained their senses, they were led to a grand hall filled with beings from across the galaxy. The walls shimmered with holographic displays showing highlights from their trials. Sarah felt a mix of embarrassment and pride as she watched herself leading the charge against the Phase Vipers. "Before we proceed with the formal graduation ceremony," Xylox announced, "I believe some explanations are in order." The administrator's form shifted, projecting images of the various trials they had faced. The Galactic Survival Academy was founded eons ago with a singular purpose: to prepare species for the challenges of a vast and often hostile universe. But in recent centuries, we had begun to see a troubling trend. The images change, showing various alien species struggling and failing in similar trials. Many of the established spacefaring races had become complacent. They relied too heavily on advanced technology, on long-established protocols. They had lost the spark of innovation, the drive to adapt and overcome. Xylox turned to face the human trio directly. "And then we discovered Earth." New images appeared, showcasing the diversity of Earth's environments and the history of human adaptation and innovation. "Your world, which you so casually call home, would be considered a death sentence to most species in the galaxy. And yet, you not only survived but thrived. You built civilizations in deserts and tundras, scaled mountains, and plumbed the depths of your oceans. You faced disasters, both natural and self-inflicted, and emerged stronger." The administrator's voice took on a note of awe. "We had to know, could this adaptability, this resilience, be the key to thriving in the greater galaxy? So we decided to put it to the test." Malik raised an eyebrow. "So we were guinea pigs." Xylox's form flickered in what might have been embarrassment. "Test subjects, perhaps, but the results speak for themselves. You not only survived our most extreme challenges, but you excelled. More importantly, you demonstrated something we had almost forgotten was possible." The holographic displays now showed moments of cooperation between the humans, Lumina, and Brex. You formed bonds across species lines. You combined your unique strengths to overcome obstacles that would have been insurmountable alone. You showed us that true survival, true advancement, comes not from technology or innate abilities, but from cooperation, adaptability, and an indomitable spirit. Zoe couldn't help but grin. "So basically, we aced the test by just being our normal, human selves." Xylox's crystal form pulsed with amusement. "In essence, yes, but do not undersell your accomplishment. You have done more than simply graduate. You have opened the eyes of the galactic community to new possibilities." The administrator turned to address the gathered aliens. "Honored representatives of the galactic races, I present to you not just the graduates of our most challenging course to date, but the harbingers of a new era of galactic cooperation and exploration." A wave of murmurs and excited chitters swept through the crowd. Sarah could see a mix of emotions on the alien faces: awe, curiosity, and perhaps a touch of apprehension. Lumina's tentacles waved in a pattern of profound respect. "I must concur with the administrator. Working alongside the humans showed me possibilities I had never imagined. Their way of thinking, their adaptability, it is truly remarkable." Brex rumbled his agreement, his crystalline form reflecting rainbow patterns that somehow conveyed deep emotion. As the formal graduation ceremony began, with each of them receiving symbols of their achievement that would be recognized across the galaxy, Sarah found her mind wandering to the future. They had come here to prove that humanity belonged among the stars, but they had achieved so much more. They had shown the galaxy a new way forward, a path of cooperation and innovation that could push the boundaries of what was possible. The ceremony concluded with a surprise announcement from Xylox. In light of the extraordinary results of this experiment, the Galactic Council has decided to fast-track Earth's admission into the galactic community. Moreover, we would like to extend an invitation to humanity to help us redesign our training programs, to infuse them with the spark of adaptability and cooperation that you have demonstrated. The hall erupted in applause and various alien equivalents of cheering. As Sarah, Malik, and Zoe were swarmed by curious aliens eager to learn more about Earth and its people, they exchanged glances of amazement and excitement. Later, as the festivities wound down, the trio found a quiet moment to reflect on their journey. "You know," Malik mused, "when we signed up for this, I thought we'd be lucky just to survive. I never imagined we'd end up changing the course of galactic history." Zoe nodded, her eyes bright with the possibilities ahead. "Think of all we could learn, all we could achieve, the technologies we could develop, combining our innovation with the knowledge of countless alien races. And the challenges we'll face," Sarah added, ever the pragmatist. "We've seen just a glimpse of what's out there. The galaxy is vast and often dangerous. We'll need to be at our best." They fell silent for a moment, each lost in their own thoughts. The weight of what they had achieved, and the responsibility that came with it, was just beginning to sink in. Finally, Sarah spoke again, a smile playing on her lips. "You know what this reminds me of?" Malik and Zoe looked at her curiously. "Every story we've ever told about humanity's first steps into a larger galaxy. All those tales of humans surprising aliens with their resilience, their adaptability, their sheer determination to survive and thrive against all odds." She gestured around them, at the alien wonders that now seemed almost commonplace. "We're living it. We're writing that story right now." Zoe grinned. "So what you're saying is, we've become the protagonists in our own real-life space opera, complete with unlikely alien allies and universe-altering revelations," Malik added with a chuckle. Sarah nodded, her expression a mix of excitement and determination. "Exactly. And this is just the beginning. We've shown the galaxy what humanity is capable of. Now it's time to prove that wasn't a fluke, that we really do have what it takes to be a part of this grand cosmic community." As they looked out at the stars visible through the station's vast windows, each lost in thoughts of the adventures and challenges that lay ahead, they felt a sense of unity not just with each other, but with all of humanity. They had taken the first steps on a journey that would change their species forever. The Deathworlders had not just survived the ultimate test, they had excelled, adapted, and shown the galaxy a new way forward. And in doing so, they had opened the door to a future filled with infinite possibilities. As the first human graduates of the Galactic Survival Academy, Sarah, Malik, and Zoe knew that their real work was just beginning. But they were ready. After all, if there's one thing humans do best, it's facing the unknown with courage, creativity, and an unwavering spirit of adventure. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would humanity. Their greatest journey was about to begin.